Now,
Welcome everyone, and hello to all of you. We are here back bringing you the news here for the Cultured Cabbage. As once again, you can see that it's just me and Carl today. Jacob's not feeling too good. Uh, Hi, Jacob. We hope you feel better soon. Uh,
yes, we do, buddy. We
he,
miss you.
he, he's feeling better today than he was the other day, but his voice still isn't up to it. So we got you. We got you. But yes, I'm here with my illustrious friend Carl. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good myself. Decent day, decent day. And we have some news to bring you today. Since it's only just two of us today, Carl is taking on the duty of both the Marvel and DC topics, while I'll be taking the miscellaneous for today. And obviously, we'll talk about it later, but as you can probably see from the title and the well, probably the thumbnail too. It's very sad news to hear that Kevin Conroy passed away today. Um, the legendary voice of the Batman. Um, Very sad to hear. Very sad to hear. So I thought before we jump into the news that we could say what some of our favorite Kevin Conroy roles were. Is that cool with you, Carl?
Yeah, perfectly fine with me.
What are some of your favorites?
Like I was telling you earlier, one of my favorites, not favorites, just one I always think of often is the one time Kevin Conroy was in the old Ben 10 franchise, and it's Bellicus in the was season one episode, I think 13. Don't quote me on the number. X X equals Ben plus two as Bellicus, the voice of rage and aggression.
A very underrated role for Kevin. Not one that I think a lot of people know about because obviously people associate him with Batman, but he did other stuff too, you know.
Yeah.
And you had also mentioned that he played the Spectre and uh, Adam Strange. I mean, Phantom Stranger,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, which was also fun. Obviously, when
No,
it comes
no,
to
no.
Bat,
You misunderstood what I meant by what I said.
oh
I said he was in Batman the Brave and the Bold, but I
yeah,
don't remember if he played either the Phantom Stranger or
oh gotcha, gotcha. You
because
just couldn't remember which one he played.
yeah, because he was playing off of Mark. That's what I remember. He was always playing off of Mark.
I mean,
He
if he's playing off of Mark Hamill, then I assume Mark Hamill is probably the Spectre, which is a crazy thought to see.
yeah, he was in two episodes actually. Kevin
Oh,
Carter was in two episodes of Brave and the Bold, you know?
was the other one?
So he was the voice of Phantom Stranger, so Mark Hamill was the other voice. He
Yeah,
was he
that's
was
what
the
I thought.
Spectre. He was also Batman of Zoo and R on the episode The Super Batman of Planet X.
Huh. Well, that's a fun little bit of trivia for you. Kevin Conroy does play Batman in The Brave and the Bold.
Oh, he was even in The Batman too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was John Grayson, the father of Dick Grayson.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of underrated roles for Mr. Conroy. Excuse me. A couple of underrated roles for Mr. Conroy there. Obviously, when it comes to the big ones, some of my favorites are his entire work in the Arkham franchise. I mean, everyone was at the top of their game there. It was fantastic. Um, and while it's not the best thing to ever hit television, I liked what they did with him and the Arrowverse during Crisis on Infinite Earths.
His one episode.
I know, but he got to play a live action Bruce Wayne.
Oh yeah, he was very happy about that.
And then
What
you
I've
know what?
heard.
If he was happy, that makes me happy. Any other ones? Any other ones come to mind for you, Carl?
Let's see. Well, obviously he is very well known for playing in the Arkham franchise.
Hmm.
Outside of Arkham Origins,
Yeah,
I don't
where
remember.
he was.
I don't know who played him in that one.
I know it was Roger Craig Smith.
Oh, thank you, Sonic.
Yeah, thank you, Sonic and Ezio.
But here's an interesting role of Kevin Conroy that I didn't know about.
All right,
He was in the 1995 version of The Office.
really.
Yes, he got 6 episodes.
I did not expect to hear that Kevin Conroy was in The Office today. But I'm kind of glad I did hear that.
He played a naive MBA, not MBA, MBA student who works for a sleazy salesman.
Oh my Lord. Crazy, crazy. And obviously his work in the animated series, legendary. Um yeah, just pretty much any movie where he played Batman, he was masterful, you know? Yeah, he was the voice of Batman.
Yeah, and if you don't, if anyone doesn't know, Batman was his first an animated voice acting role, which
It's
actually,
kind
I, I didn't ever think I'd ever plug this book. But if you ever buy the 2021, oh no, 2022 DC Pride book, there is a story written by Kevin Conroy on how he became Batman.
and it's kind of crazy how they pretty much just signed a relative no one like Kevin Conroy to be Batman. Because they'd always we'll get into the news here in a minute, but I just want to talk about the man a bit more. Because when they were casting for the Joker, obviously a lot of people know that the first person they had cast from was Tim Curry, although apparently test audience thought he was too scary. So they got Mark Hamill, which both of them, pretty illustrious actors. I mean, Mark Hamill was in a little movie called Star Wars. I wonder whatever happened to that. But Conroy was pretty much a nobody in the acting world, but they chose him to play, Bruce Wayne. They chose him to play Batman, which I feel like made his career in the best way possible. But unless you have any other thoughts, Carl, we should probably get right into the news, shall we?
Yeah, I just learned that he was in a show that my nana he still technically watches reruns of back in the day.
What's that? Columbo?
He was in Matlock. I'm not kidding.
Well, you know, sometimes you just find actors you're like, really? They were in this? Sometimes that just happens.
But yep, on to our news.
Yes.
Rest the
Carl,
man.
would you like to kick us off with the Marvel news for today?
Yes. So our first news at the time of this recording, Wakanda Forever has come out. I am the only one privileged in our little group to have seen it, and I'm not going to tell anyone but DJ, who I told off the air about some instances of the movie. I will mute
Guys,
you.
guys, I gotta tell you what happens in Wakanda. Darn you, Carl.
I'm saying that for the audiences.
You muted me.
You're right, because I'm saving you probably from making a mistake. But anyways,
Guys,
Wakanda Forever takes place after the events of the not in our opinion, it's an okay show, in at least my opinion. I don't know about DJ's opinion of it.
I mean, it was all over the place quality wise.
Yeah. It takes place after the She-Hulk Attorney at Law show set in September of 2025. But Black Panther Wakanda Forever, on the day we recorded this, which was Friday, the yeah, Friday, November 11th, 2022, it has made $58.8 million worldwide.
That's a lot of money.
For casting announcements, we have what's his name? Daniel Kaluuya will be playing Spider-Punk, the rocker, Spider-Man.
In Across the Spider-Verse.
Then we got Ezra Ray playing Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. And we already kind of knew this one, but Oscar Isaac will be reprising his role as Spider-Man 2099.
The best Spider-Man. Fight me. I love
Okay.
Spider-Man 2099.
Okay, I'll see you on Sunday and beat you up some more. Like I
Okay.
always do.
Okay. I will say this, minus Peter Parker.
I'm still gonna beat you up.
What, you think Miles is better or something?
Oh, you're talking about character-wise. I thought you meant like the voice acting department.
Oh, no. We haven't really seen much of Oscar Isaac, have we?
No, we've seen it outside of his MCU debut as Moon Knight and his abysmal X-Men appearance.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no. Character-wise, Spider-Man 2099, best alternate version of Spider-Man.
you sure you didn't
But
like the one that swung from his veins?
Marvel Zombies. What about Spiders Man? That's a good one.
What about Spider-Man who kills people?
What about Man Spider?
Anyway, speaking of Spider-Man still, there was a report claiming that Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Lowenthal Spider-Man will appear in the upcoming Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I was telling Carl this that I could potentially see uh PS4 Spider-Man being in that movie. Potentially, because with the rights with Sony would be, they'd be all good. But I don't see Holland's Spider-Man, MCU Spider-Man being in this movie. I mean, it's possible, but I just don't see it. I feel like we have a better shot of seeing Toby and Andrew just doing the same thing they did in No Way Home again.
And the last Marvel news we have is Marvel Comics has announced a new Spider-Gwen series, a 5-issue limited run written by Emily Kim, art by Kel Zara, and designed by Peach McConnell. It will debut this March. It is called Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones. Damn you, spider people and your damn clones!
It's horrid. Absolutely abysmal the amount of clone related stories that spider people get.
And it even says here each issue will introduce a new clone of Gwen, all of them based on iconic Spider Man villains.
What is like freaking the wall gonna show up?
And I think they're talking about the iconic ones like Sandman, Otto Octavius, the Goblin,
Yeah.
Venom. Because literally on the cover it has Sandman and Otto Octavius.
What about the Shocker?
It's hard to tell on this cover. I know we can obviously see Otto Octavius and Sandman. The few I just can't tell on this cover.
They do have very noticeable designs, so that makes a lot of sense.
Actually, I just realized something funny in our little folders, DJ.
What's that?
So the start of our news for Marvel was Wakanda Forever taking place in after She-Hulk at Law.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have 4 spider announcements, and at the end is how much money Wakanda Forever made.
That
It's a
shows you just that just shows you what kind of news we bring you here at the Culture Cabbage. We bring you the widest selection, and we always tie it back.
I was gonna say it's a Wakanda Forever spider sandwich.
Which I feel like would taste delicious.
No, it wouldn't.
Aw.
Yeah. Don't be crazy.
No. Don't be a don't be a pervert.
Okay, now on to DJ with the other news.
Yes. Obviously, uh, seeing as today was the unfortunate passing of Kevin Conroy, we'll be bringing you the DC news at the end, so we can more properly document the goings on around there. So I will be bringing you the miscellaneous news right now. So first up, Aruni, we have the Conjuring spin-off film focused on the Crooked Man is no longer happening. It's canceled. It's gone. Dunzaroo. We will not be getting the Conjuring not sequel spin-off. So sad one out for the horror fans out there. I wasn't a huge fan of The Conjuring. I don't really dig those
I'm scared.
very much ghost demon centric ones, but still, it's not bad. It's not bad whatsoever. I'm just glad I got for me, horror wise, I'm glad I got what I got this year. So y'all can suck it. The next up, James Cameron is talking about Avatar. I've always come to believe that the Avatar franchise is sort of overrated. I mean, its effects for the time were the perfect combination to get the success that it did. But that's just me. I mean, I don't dislike it. But moving on, there will be a new Star Wars series that will be coming to Disney Plus called The Acolyte. We have yet to figure out much about this series other than the basic, not plot, but just a little bit of synopsis and some of the cast members for this upcoming series. Some of the people involved we have here are Amanda Stenberg, Lee Jung Jae, Daphne Keane. Fun fact: Daphne Keane played X-23 or Laura in Logan. So yeah,
Oh,
and
good. She's still getting work.
yeah, I'm glad to see that she's still getting work. And Joni Turner Smith. This is some of the few people that we have on this project so far. Moving on, John Wick is getting a spinoff called The Ballerina, which will have Mr. Keanu Reeves in it, and it'll also be starring uh oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher this name, Ana de Armas. I could be wrong. Um, I have not watched the John Wick movies, but this sounds cool from what I've seen. It's pretty dope. But taking a couple steps back here, back to Star Wars news. Um, J.D. Dillard is no longer the director for the new upcoming Star Wars film, and a replacement has not yet to be crowned. But Sean Levy is one of the people in talks right now to direct this new film that we know nothing about, and frankly, sort of just came out of nowhere, in my opinion. But that's just me. And moving on to more film news. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, this movie is going to be one of those movies that exists. Brett Goldstein and Bowen Yang have been cast in Garfield, along with Chris Pratt, Samuel L. Jackson, Nicholas Hoult, Hannah Waddingham, Cecily Strong, and Vin Rames.
Mm.
Garfield movie with Chris Pratt as Garfield. You
Because
know,
our
he's already
family's
played. He's already playing Mario.
This is the third time we've got something for Garfield.
It's a movie that is happening. And you know what? They put Samuel L. Jackson in there too because they're like, hey, people want to see Samuel L. Jackson because they think he might do fake swears. Because that's what his career is built around. But moving on to it's a very sad day for the news because we have another passing to report as Leslie Phillips, who is most known for playing the Sorting Hat in Harry Potter and was in many other projects in his long career, dies at 98. It's glad to see that this man led a very full, hopefully fulfilling life. But just very sad news to bring you today here on the news. But hopefully something a bit more nice and refreshing. The Indiana Jones series is in its early stages. The Disney Plus series, which I believe does not have a release date yet, but will be coming to Disney Plus. And its series, excuse me, so sorry about that. Will feature Abner Ravenwood, the mentor of Indiana Jones, who will be the protagonist of the series, as this movie takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark. This don't sound right. This just don't sound right. I mean, what is the series called, Carl?
Indiana Jones
Who? What is the name of the protagonist?
in the prequel series or in general?
Just in general, who's the protagonist of Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, the archaeologist played by Harrison Ford. He has the whip, he has the hat, he carries like the golden idol, he has the pistol. He's afraid of snakes. That Indiana Jones running away from a big boulder.
Have you seen the Family Guy joke about Indiana Jones?
No, I haven't.
It's a joke where it's like Indiana Jones. I think four. They think they Eye of the Crystal Skull. I don't know. They say some made up name for one,
Hmm.
and they say, and Indiana Jones is laying in front of us. They're like, "Oh no, snake!" And Snake goes, "Oh no, elderly potheads." Oh, no, no, sorry. He goes, "Why did it have to be Snake? Why did it have to be elderly? What elderly potheads?"
But you would think that an Indiana Jones series would be about Indiana Jones. At least, unless they plan to come up with some other working name for it. But if it's just Indiana Jones and has nothing to do with him, that's stupid.
You know what it could be?
What?
Wasn't it in the first? Wasn't it in the last two? They had this little kid running around, this little Asian kid.
Yeah.
What if for what if for this one, they do they have a kid to play little Indiana, so that you can still have Indiana Jones. He's not the main character in his own show.
Man. At least Gotham had the integrity to not call it Batman.
No, no, because they knew that was not sure going to be about that. It's going to be about Jim Gordon.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, do you think Gotham would have done as well if it was called Batman?
I don't think he did very well to begin with, so I don't
I
think he would
mean,
have
I
done any
mean,
better.
that's besides the point, Carl.
Hey, you asked for my opinion. I'm going to answer you with that.
Fair enough. But moving on, speaking of series, it is getting a prequel series called Welcome to Derry, which will have the two co-showrunners, Jason. I can say this man's last name a few different ways, but Fuchsius? Fuchsia's.
Close enough, I guess.
I mean, it's better than the alternative. And Brad Caleb Kane, who will be running the It TV series. Um, and outside of just mostly show and movie news, we have just normal media news as Mark Zuckerberg, the absolute lizard man himself, is laying off over 11,000 employees from Meta, from the metaverse. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. But all the people just kept making virtual reality porn.
I mean, between him and freaking Elon just pretty much nuking everyone at Twitter, all these people are gonna have nowhere to go. Although I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but also along with the Ballerina series being announced, John Wick 4 has a trailer and it will be coming out next year, March 24th. Like I said, I don't watch the John Wick movies, but for those, I know a lot of people who do, and I know a lot of people who very much enjoy them. Here you go. The next chapter will be coming out March 24th next year, and I hope all of you enjoy that. Got a few more, got a few more little announcements here before we move on to the last portion of this episode. Studio Ghibli has a project with Lucasfilm coming up in development. We have nothing else to know besides that, but Studio Ghibli, very famous Japanese studio, have made a lot of classics to people. Spirited Away is a very well known one. Dave Batista, the Bautista, um, will be well. This isn't confirmed yet, but he is hoping to be in the Gears of War film that will be on Netflix. Which I mean, yeah, the dude really likes Gears of War, so I'd say go for it. Let the man be in it. Let my dog out. He'd do nothing. Oh, thank you, Carl. My bad, people. Because the Studio Ghibli project, this just in, the Studio Ghibli project that is planned by Lucasfilm is Zen, uh, Grogu and the Dust Bunnies, a hand-drawn animation, which is just me a little short that's going to be released on, I assume, Disney Plus.
Looks like
Yeah,
go the next line down. It literally says streaming tomorrow. Again, we record this on Friday.
yeah. So it'll be coming out Saturday,
Saturday, 12th.
the 12th. Okay, I'm bad with dates. I'm bad with keeping
Also,
up with stuff.
happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day. Unless you're unless you're not from America, then that means nothing to you.
So be nice to your vet.
Oh yeah, still be nice to your vets and all that, but it's I don't think it's a holiday anywhere outside of America.
Yeah.
Even then, a lot of people in America don't even get today off. But I
Public
did.
public facilities do. But you think I didn't get any mail today? Or I had to deal with high schools today. That's a good thing. I didn't have to deal with the high school today.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes that's a good thing. Um, got three more announcements here. Avatar, uh, the animated movie will be coming October 10th, 2025. So we got some time before this movie comes out. But we do have an official release date for the Avatar movie, which will be coming out. And we also have to report that Katara will be in that movie. As someone who is not too familiar with Avatar, I mean, I know I know bits about it. I haven't watched the full thing. This looks cool. I mean, I think it looks really neat. And also Ash Ketchum. I can't believe I'm ending this off with a Pokemon announcement. But after 25 freaking years, Ash Ketchum has finally become the top trainer in the Pokemon world. He won the Pokemon League. He became the best like no one ever was. Because to catch them was his real test, and to train them was his cause. Because he traveled across the land, searching far and wide, these
Okay.
Pokemon came to understand the power that was inside.
KJ, please stop. We don't need our episode copyrighted.
I'm not singing it. It's not in the tone or anything.
You think the bot will care?
Probably not.
You'll just look at the words like, oh, he's saying the words exactly from the lyric. No,
We'll get the demonetization hammer, even though we're not monetized whatsoever.
we wouldn't get paid very much for monetization anyways.
Oh, absolutely not. We'd be getting paid peanuts.
That's what
Absolutely
happened.
peanuts.
Let's see. As of today, let's see how much we would have made today. We would have made 1 cent. We got 2 views
That's
today.
that's awesome.
I don't know how we're gonna break a penny between the three of us, but there you go.
But with all that news out of the way, it's time to move on to Carl, who will be bringing you the DC news for this week. Take it away, Carl.
Yeah. So for our news this week, we've got only three minor topics and two major topics. First of our minor topics is James Gunn acknowledges the recent demands from the insane people who release the air cut of the Suicide Squad movie, the one he didn't direct,
Yeah, the one
first
he
one,
didn't direct.
and the hashtag Save the Legends of Tomorrow, which is a CW show on the CW. That was an oxymoron, I just realized.
You know, I told you this when we were talking about the news topics before we even started. But if we were to get like a full director's cut of 2016 Suicide Squad, would it be much better?
Could be possible, since I think the first guy got kicked out and the second guy had to finish what the first guy started. Very much like just very much like the Justice League situation.
Yeah,
I
it
think
definitely
I don't know the story of of the Suicide Squad. I don't know that story.
that is true. Neither do I, but I don't know. I feel like from the casting choices to the initial writing choices to pretty much everything that they had going on for that movie, I feel like there was a ceiling to what it could have accomplished.
Yep. But James Gunn has said, quote, all our initial focus is on the stories going forward, hammering out the DC universe, telling the biggest story ever told across multiple films, television shows, and animated projects.
That's very interesting that he mentioned that because obviously it's not new. We haven't heard of a connected universe before, but he mentioned movies, shows, and animated projects. Does that mean that animated projects are going to coincide with some live action ones, or am I just reading way too much into it?
I will get to you to that in a second. That will go more into our first major topic, but let me get to the two other minor. I'll
Okay,
finish it. But the Barbarian director Zach Krieger is willing to meet with James Gunn to talk about his secret DC script, quoted as saying, I would certainly love to meet with him and have the conversation.
sounds like fun.
And then one Mr. Momoa was quoted was talking. Jason Momoa talks about James Gunn mystery posts about Lobo. Whereas,
What?
whereas Dan over at the Comic Surgeon calls him a Wolverine knockoff.
Hey, you know what? That's a gross oversimplification. In fact, Stanley loved Lobo. It was his favorite DC character.
He was quoted saying, "Well, everyone knows I'm a comic book fan." When I do a DJ, he's like, "I didn't know that."
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that Jason Momoa, was a huge comics dude.
I thought he just did it for a paycheck. But maybe he's very much like Henry Cavill.
And you know what? Both of them are pretty good. Maybe they haven't gotten the perfect scripts in the past, but I think they're both very good.
But back to it is, well, everyone knows I'm a comic book fan. The comics I collect the most, and I have every issue comic there is. Well, you can do your research and find out what it is yourself.
Bro, imagine he has like every Superman issue or something crazy like that.
I think it is Lobo, which is my only question is, did he collect the new 52 run of Lobo?
Did he collect New 52 Lobo? We need to know. I
Because
hope
I
not.
really need to know if he collected Pretty Boy Lobo.
I hope not. I hope that he didn't collect Twilight Lobo.
Yeah. But now on to our first major topic, which I'll answer your question now. James Gunn and Peter Safran are mapping out the 8 to 10 year plan for the DCEU, quoted as saying, "This was such a unique opportunity for one great overarching story across film, television, gaming, live action, and animation," to Saban.
So that I could be reading way too much into it, but by the way they said that, it sounds like everything's going to be, interlocking. I mean, it's not something we haven't seen before. I mean, Assault on Arkham is takes place within the Arkham universe. The Vixen movie takes place in the CW universe. But I feel like it would be really, really cool and really innovative and something that can finally put DC maybe even above Marvel when it comes to movies. They still have a way to go, but if they plan on going with this direction that I'm hearing, is that they're gonna find a way to encompass all of these different universes, the gaming universe, the animated universe, the live action universe, heck, even the comics, to find a way to incorporate that into one giant being. That would be awesome. I know I just did a poor job explaining it, but I feel like you get what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. But that's a lot of wishful thinking. I feel like James Gunn is capable of doing it, but like he said, it's an 8 to 10 year plan, so we'll just have to see how it goes. We have to be patient.
Yeah, but I have it there. I just, as you were talking, going over the article I grabbed about James Gunn and all the stuff they talked about. And there's not much here. Just really just going on with what they're really known for.
Yeah.
Like it just says Savan has been behind the greatest, highest grossing horror franchise ever, The Conjuring. We mentioned that earlier in our episode,
We did.
which has made one more than $2 billion worldwide. Well, that's a lot of money. In addition to sheer-parodying Aquaman in its Christmas 2023 sequel, Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, he has done Shazam in its upcoming sequel, March coming out in March 17th, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, as well as the well, this movie still is coming out and has a date still. Blue
Oh,
Beetle coming out August 18th, 2023.
next year.
Apparently so. Devon and Gunn worked together on the new Suicide Squad movie, the 2021 version, and its spin-off series Peacemaker, which was one of the HBO Max's most watched series.
People dug
And
it.
if people want to see um, John Cena run around in his underwear.
That too. Although they could have watched Suicide Squad to see that.
He did do that too.
Ran around in his tidy whities.
Yes, he. But now to our last. You mentioned it earlier in our episode, but Kevin Conroy has sadly passed away. But you were right; it was from cancer.
Yeah, that's what
While I
I've.
was waiting for him returning, because we do hate to say we do these meetings on Zoom. I was waiting for him to return. I had him to find a video from ET talking about.
I had to use the bathroom.
I know. I figure some excuse for how I would watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, sadly, Conroy has passed away due to cancer.
Yeah.
Horrible, horrible disease, and we wish prayers upon his family, his coworkers, and just everyone who was a big fan of him, including you know, us.
Uh,
I'm a huge Kevin Conroy fan. You know, people have said this all the time, but he is the voice I hear when I read a Batman comic. Like he is, he's Batman. I dare say this. I dare say this. He is the voice of the most iconic character who's ever existed.
yep.
I, Obviously, it really depends on what context you're talking about. But when it comes to like the Mount Rushmore of, iconic characters, it's Mickey Mouse, it's Batman, it's Spider-Man, and it's Superman. And Batman is one of those faces.
Yep.
For him to
But
be the most iconic voice for him over the past 30 years, longer,
almost 40 years. No, no, 30 years. 30 years. 1992 would have been 30 years this year. No, it was
crazy.
30 years this year.
Absolutely crazy.
But I did go back to that video to have it divined it. There were some quotes from actors who happened to work with Kevin Conroy I thought I'd read before I go
Shoot
into
it
the
off.
letter that they had, the letter they had posted. So for Mark Hamill, he was quoted as saying on a tweet he posted, I'm sorry, Kevin was a brilliant actor. For several generations, he was the definitive Batman. It took one of the perfect scenarios when they got the right guy for the exact right part, and the world was better. He was the ideal partner. It was such a compliment in a creative experience for him.
Well said, Mark.
Mark was also said he will always be my Batman to my Joker. Okay, that last part was not in the video. I just remember hearing it, and I was waiting for you. Tara
Absolutely
Strong
wonderful.
also put out a tweet quoted as saying, "I do not have words, not today. My heart is broken. There will be never be another. He is Batman. Hashtag rip the legend."
The GOAT.
That, that's all of the tweets that I'm finding in that video. There were probably hundreds of tweets, and I'm not going to go through every single tweet on Twitter.
Oh
That'll
no,
take me an
absolutely
hour at
not.
least.
But still, thank you for reading those, Carl. It's
And
glad to
then
see and hear from his peers that he was a wonderful person and that he will absolutely sorely be missed.
and then I do have the letter from that was posted to the DC website on his death when he that was posted to DC. I have to find it on the Absolutely Marvel and DC Discord. Shout out to them again. They're very helpful for doing my job.
Yes, thank you.
It says Kevin Conroy, presumably the premier voice of Batman, passed away at the age of 66. New York, New York, November 11th, 2022. Actor Kevin Conroy, the beloved voice of Batman in the animated history of the character, died Thursday at the age of 66 after a short battle with cancer. A noted stage, film, and television performer, Conroy rose to the unparalleled voice acting frame as the title character of the landmark Batman the Animated Series from 1992 to 1996, who would establish a never to be broken record of quintessential voice of Batman, being the superhero to animated life for nearly 60 different productions, including 15 films, highlighting the acclaimed Batman Mask of the Phantasm, 15 animated series, running nearly 400 episodes. I think that's as many as The Simpsons.
Oh,
Hey,
Lord.
and more than 100 hours of television, as well as 24 video games. Conroy also featured as a live-action Bruce Wayne in the Arrowverse's 2019-2020 Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event. In the early years, Conroy was a notable figure on the con circuit, greeting fans with the same warmth, respect, and enthusiasm they respected for him. Kevin was far more than an actor, whom I had the pleasure of casting and directing. He was a dear friend for 30 plus years, whom kindness, generous spirit knew no bounds, said Emily, the Emmy Award winning casting dialogue director Andrea Romano. Kevin's warm heart, delicate deep laugh, and pure love for the life would be with him forever. Kevin was perfection, recalled Mark Hamill, who refined the Joker playing opposite Conroy's Batman. He was one of my favorite people on the planet. I loved him with like a brother. He truly cared for the people around him. He stone through everything he did. Every time I saw him or spoke with him, my spirits were lifted. Born on November 3rd, 1955 in Weberson, New York, and raised in Westport, Cincinnati, Conroy began establishing himself in the acting community while under the tutelage of John Houseman at the Juilliard School, where he studied alongside likes of Christopher Reeves, uh, Francis Conroy, and his roommate Robin Williams.
Huh.
Conroy began his career following his love of the theater, keeping him on the stage in both New York and the Old Globe Theater in San Diego. The actor received various reviews for his starring performances in A Midsummer's Night Dream at the Public Theater, Eastern Standard on Broadway, Arthur Miller's The Last Yankee, and in the title role of Hamlet at the 1984 New York Shakespeare Festival. In addition, he performed in films, television, and notably in the mid 1980s when he became a recurring role on Duck Dynasty, Tour of Duty, and Horan. Successful runs on soap opera dramas Search for Tomorrow and Another World, and guest stars in popular series like Cheers, Murphy Brown, Suspense for Hire, and Matlock. But he was his impeccable and knowledgeable performance as the voice of Batman that put Conroy on the map and the fans' radar when Batman the Animated Series debuted on September 5th, 1992. From that point on, Conroy would forever be linked to the Dark Knight. And TV series like Batman Beyond, Justice League Limited, films ranging from Batman the Killing Joke, Batman Gotham Knight, to Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, and Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, and more than 24 video games. Kevin was a brilliant actor, Mark Hamill said. For several generations, he had been the definitive Batman. It was one of the perfect scenarios where they got the exact right guy for the exact part. Then the world was better for it. His rhyme, his subtlety, tone, and delivery. That all helped inform my performance. He was the ideal partner. It was extremely complimentary creative experience. I could not have done without him. He will always be my Batman. Kevin brought the uh, Kevin brought a light with him every day, said Paul Dini, producer of Batman the Animated Series. Whenever the recording booth gives his off, or feeding first responders during 9/11, or making every fan who ever waited for him a moment of their Batman. The hero in every sense of the word, impeccable, eternal. Conroy survived by his husband, Vaughn C. Williams, his sister, Trissy Conroy, and brother, Tom Conroy. Memorial service are pending.
Man. just rough, you know.
Yeah.
And
Is it just
it's
me, or
rough to
did I feel
see.
like I read a eulogy? Was that just me?
It did sound a lot like eulogy. Yeah, just it's really hot. It's rough when you see, someone like this go. Death is inescapable. It comes for us all, and it's a very depressing fact. But you know what? On a light note to end this episode, uh, Kevin Conroy as Batman is truly immortal. He will live forever within the shows, movies, games, everything that he touched. He will remain immortal as the one and only Dark Knight. And with that being said, I feel like that wraps up our news for today. Oh boy, what an episode. Hey, Carl.
Yeah.
Sorry to leave it a minute of a somber note, but I hope that you guys can take those last words and be thankful that he was here in the first place. And don't be sad that he was gone. On
Be
behalf
happy
of
that we got time to enjoy him. Be happy that we
exactly,
had his time.
exactly, because he is Batman.
Yeah.
And with that, on behalf of my friend Carl, and you know what? What the heck? On behalf of Jacob, too, this is where we end our news for this week. We hope you guys enjoyed this, and we're not quite sure what we'll bring back next time, but hey, maybe we'll bring something fun, or maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But we hope you guys enjoyed this news, and we'll be seeing you guys next time. Bye bye.
See y'all.